you have the choice between picking only one. Should you go with the AirPods 2, save some money, and call it a day? Or should you wait a little bit, go all out, and just get the AirPods Pro? Well, everybody's situation is different, and seeing that this is Google's top search result, I think it's time to highlight all the pros and cons on why one might be better than the other. Now, I owned and used these AirPods for several months now. Both were released last year, so they've been on the market for quite some time. Because of that, they're actually on sale most of the time. Because although the AirPods Pro are the most expensive one, as they retail for $250, but you can find them right now on Amazon for just $235. Same can be said about the AirPods 2. Their full retail price is $200, but I've been seeing these on sale on online retailers for a lot less. Now, the non-wireless charging case, which I do have right here, brand new, their MSRP price is $150, but just like the other two, online retailers are selling them for a lot less. And if you would ask me, is getting the wireless charging case really that important? Not really. I'll describe the wireless charging option more like a luxury, because unless you already have wireless Qi chargers laying around your house, it is nice to just rest your AirPods on them and let them wirelessly charge without having to fiddle with any cables. But in reality, having it charge that way doesn't charge as quick if you actually plug it into an actual lightning cable. And just to quickly clarify, in case you're unaware, the AirPods Pro come with wireless charging already included. There's no non-wireless charging option. So the things you really got to consider when choosing between the AirPods Pro and the AirPods 2 is that they're not the same. They each have their own pros and cons, because the AirPods Pro seem like they're more built for the athletic user, while the AirPods 2 are perfect for day-to-day use, especially to those that don't like the in-ear canal ear tips. And both have very similar tech inside each of them. Yes, they both have the same H1 chip inside, which means as soon as one is paired on one Apple device, it's automatically paired across all your other Apple devices under that same account. The hands-free Hey S'more support works on both of them, and the same iOS innovation is available on both of these. So you can customize the shortcuts to do different things, as well as rename or control them on the control center. Other important similarities is that the microphone quality when it comes to making phone calls, these two in today's day probably have still one of the best microphones on any earbud. Here's a sound sample real quick of the AirPods 2 in 3, 2, 1. Now you're hearing me with the microphone in the AirPods. This is a vinyl skin, don't worry about that. But this is basically how the sound quality sounds like. Now, in a loud environment, if I simulate like a cafe, give it a few seconds. This is the audio quality in a loud environment. You should be able to hear me just fine, based from my experience from making previous phone calls in a very similar environment. And now, we switch to the AirPods Pro. Quiet environment. You should be able to hear me just fine. Let's go ahead and simulate that at cafe now. And this is how it sounds like in a cafe environment. So you should be able to hear me fine. Honestly, I think the microphone is identical. If you're able to notice the difference, vote up right there. I'm curious what you guys think. So why are the Pros roughly around $100 more than the standard AirPods 2? And although the AirPods Pro do look like they have some kind of ergonomic design, the AirPods 2 is still as comfortable as the AirPods Pro. Although there's a 1 gram difference between the two AirPods, it's so little that you won't even notice. But for the extra money, you do get more exclusive hardware for the AirPods Pro, because right now there still is a very limited amount of earbuds that actually offer active noise cancellation that actually do a really good job at it. It performs almost as well as true wireless over-the-ear headphones. And the reason why I like carrying the Pros over actual over-the-ear headphones is because they're just so portable. They're more easy to travel with than having to carry over-the-ear headphones around. So if you too don't like carrying over-the-ear headphones around when you're traveling, the AirPods Pro solve that issue. So as I may imagine, anybody that travels a lot, you might consider the AirPods Pro because of that. Whereas the AirPods 2, think of them like your standard earbuds, the Apple ones with the cable. Just instead, the AirPods 2 give you that freedom without dealing with tangled cables. But when wearing the AirPods 2, since they're not in-ear canal earbuds, when you're wearing these, walking down the streets, you're always aware of your surroundings. Now, the AirPods Pro do offer a unique feature, transparency mode, which when enabled will utilize the microphone arrays and will mix the environment audio with the audio that you're listening to. So as you're listening to your music, you can still hear the traffic that goes around you. When wearing the two, this works really well. And the way that I typically benefit off this transparency mode is when I'm at the gym, I like to enable active noise cancellation. And when a buddy, a friend, somebody walks by and wants to ask me a general quick question, I could quickly hear them by simply holding down on the stem, toggling between the two modes into transparency mode, which will allow me to hear my friend just fine. Perfect for short conversations. And honestly, to this day, I think the transparency mode that's found on the AirPods Pro is still one of the best pass-through modes out there on any earbuds, because on my Galaxy Buds, they offer this very similar tech, but doesn't sound nowhere as near as good as it sounds like on the AirPods Pro. Those other earbuds that offer the same feature, usually the voices are extremely amplified, making things sound unnatural. The AirPods Pro don't suffer this. But a con to this that not a lot of people are highlighting or talking about, and yes, I know there is a setting that you can go in on your phone and disable this feature, but by default, if you put only one earbud inside your ear and you leave the other one in a case, this one's automatically going to be set to transparency mode. So you should be able to still hear your environment from both ears just fine. This is great when you're making phone calls and you just need one at a time. But honestly, after actually using this on the public streets, it still somewhat feels like I have a hand over my ear. So whenever I'm actually using this like a Bluetooth headset, I don't like personally using the AirPods Pro. I'd rather just switch and use my AirPods 2 in those type of situations. Although the AirPods Pro do have that large vent on the side that's supposed to eliminate that vacuum seal that I was talking about, it still feels very odd when you're wearing one at a time. So in those scenarios, I prefer just carrying the AirPods 2. Now, in case you're concerned, the size comparison between these two cases are identical. The dimensions are really close to each other. So portability, when they're in their case, they're identical. Now, auto ear detection is fully supported on both of them. As soon as you remove one earbud out of your ear, it's going to automatically pause and resume back to whatever you were listening to automatically. They both have that same sensor. Common music controls are there, so you can pause, skip tracks, go back to the previous track, or activate your virtual voice assistant. Just with the AirPods 2, you access this by simply tapping on the earbud as they have touch sensors. And then the Pros require a 2-finger pinch on the stem. I personally do find the pinch better than the tap gesture, because when you toggle something or trigger something, it will actually play a sound depending on the action. The AirPods 2, they don't do that. So with the AirPods 2, you simply just have to tap and just hope that you toggle whatever you're trying to switch. Then when it comes to the overall battery life, with the case, earbuds, in total, you are guaranteed to get up to 24 hours of battery life. Just however, the AirPods Pro earbuds by themselves, with active noise cancellation enabled, they should be able to last you up to 4.5 hours of playback time. If you have any of these modes turned off, it's listed to reach up to 5 hours. The AirPods 2 is the only one that actually is guaranteed to last up to 5 hours. And from my personal experience, that's plenty enough juice for me and even the average user. Usually the longest time I actually wear one of these earbuds is probably 3 hours. Unless I'm going on a long flight, I would never see myself actually wearing earbuds for anywhere longer than 3 hours. And in case you do run out of battery, fast charging support is supported on all these AirPods. A typical 5-minute charge will give you an hour of audio playback time. Now, besides the active noise cancellation and the transparency mode, is that really it? Is that really what makes the AirPods Pro a Pro? Well, no, not exactly. There's other really useful exclusive hardware, like the sound quality is better on the AirPods Pro, although it seems like they have the same drivers. They don't just sound better because they have the active noise cancellation. There's a little bit more involved. Inside, there's an inward facing microphone that actually hears sound as you do, which allows it to automatically adapt to the environment that you're in, to automatically adjust the EQ levels. So that's one of the reasons why the AirPods Pro sound better than the AirPods 2. But don't get me wrong, the AirPods 2, they don't sound bad either. In a quiet environment, these sound amazing. They're fairly well balanced and they deliver a reasonable amount of bass, but since they lack the silicone tip for noise isolation in a not so quiet place, they don't perform as well as the AirPods Pro, which is why the AirPods Pro deliver better bass and richer sound compared to the AirPods 2. And then when training with the AirPods Pro, another thing to really consider is that the AirPods Pro is the only one to actually have an IP water dust resistant rating, as these earbuds are actually rated IPX4, which means these should survive sweat or other small splashes. And then the AirPods 2, again, although they don't have an official IPX rating, these are known to be somewhat waterproof. Because my AirPods actually came in contact with water, and they still work perfectly fine. And I know some folks that accidentally had their AirPods go in the washer and still survived. And not only that, there's like millions of videos out there on YouTube of people literally like throwing them in the pool and stuff, and they survive. And let us not forget, before the AirPods Pro, people did and were training with the AirPods. So if sweat lands on them, they should be perfectly fine. But the AirPods Pro will give you that peace of mind, as they are the only ones that are water and dust resistant rated. Also, another advantage of going with the Pros than the AirPods 2, they're very likely to fit everyone, as there's different sizes to choose from the silicone tips that they provide. So if you experience fitting issues with even these generation AirPods, the Pros are most likely to stay on. So really, the only key selling point that I see for the AirPods Pro is the active noise cancellation, as it still is somewhat exclusive for earbuds to have. But if you already own a set of active noise canceling over your headphones, then there's no need to really buy the AirPods Pro. You'll be perfectly fine just picking up just the AirPods 2. Especially since you could find the non-wireless charging case just under $150. But at the end of the day, it's your call. This is the decision that you need to make. Now, if you're picking one up for the first time, make sure to check on the links in the video description down below, as they're gonna be up to date on the latest sales and deals that goes on. So double check there so you can save some money. And if you already went ahead and picked up a pair of AirPods, check out this video for all the awesome tips and tricks that you could do with your AirPods 2. And then that video over here, that is everything that you could do with the AirPods Pro. Also tips and tricks on the latest iOS. And the video that's covering my dumb face, that is a video that YouTube is recommending for you. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you all in the next one. See ya.